So today's video is going to be something a little bit different. I hope you don't mind. Today I'm going to be talking about my symptoms from when I was pregnant with Holly and Emily. So I know it's quite a while ago now, but I think I've chosen to do the twin pregnancy symptoms mainly because that is a pregnancy where the symptoms stood out to me the most, probably because they were more severe in my pregnancy with Holly and Emily. So yeah, let me talk to you about them. You see, I found out I was pregnant with Holly and Emily quite early. I think I must have been about 5 or 6 weeks. I actually lived in Northampton at the time, and when I moved back to Grimsby, I went to see the doctor straight away, and he obviously examined my uterus and said that I was further on than 5 or 6 weeks, basically, because my uterus was bigger. So I went for an early scan, and obviously I found out I was pregnant with twins, and I think I was about 9 weeks, 10 weeks at that point. Physically, my symptoms, apart from an enlarged uterus in the early days, I think they kicked in pretty early, and the first thing that kicked in was my boobs. They just went woof. I mean, I've never been a big chested person unless I've been pregnant or breastfeeding, but with Holly and Emily they just went vroom straight away. And another thing that sometimes I find it quite hard to talk about, really, another thing which was very apparent in the first, I'd say, 16 weeks of pregnancy, I was really depressed, actually. In hindsight, I can tell, in hindsight I know that it was because I had raging hormone levels. They were so high, but at the time it wasn't very nice. You know, when you're pregnant anyway, you're quite hormonal, aren't you? But I was just like double that. I just felt really down and cried a lot and just didn't want to talk to anybody, and I felt tired as well. So I think I probably slept a lot of the time during that point in my pregnancy. And another thing which I got quite early on as well, probably around the same time as I went to the doctors, was I developed a metallic-y taste in my mouth. Like, everything tasted metallic-y, you know, like blood. And the smell of tea and coffee, it could be, I don't know, it could be the other side of the house, and I'd be able to smell it, and it would just make me want to be sick. It wasn't just one or the other, it was both tea and coffee. And back then I never used to drink it, and it just made me feel ill. That symptom continued through the whole of my pregnancy. I worked at a pharmacy at that point, and my colleague would make me, my colleagues would make everyone a cup of tea and coffee, or coffee, and I would just be like, ugh, and it grabbed my stomach, it grabbed my chest. I couldn't eat anything. It was awful. And I was quite sick up until about, I think I was quite sick up until about 14 weeks. Just everything made me sick, especially greasy foods. If I had like a burger or chips, I would be sick. I lived with my nana back then, and I would often wake up and she'd put like ginger biscuits next to my bed. You know, she'd use all the old wives' tales to try and perk me up, feed me little and often. She really did look after me. It wasn't pleasant at all, really, but I had these 2 little people growing inside my belly, and at that point I think I was quite like young for a 20-year-old. I didn't fully understand the impact of how carrying twins would affect me. It was my first time pregnant as well, and it was pretty hard work. The hardest thing for me with my early pregnancy symptoms, like I've said previously in the video, was definitely the low mood, and how I was feeling and struggling to manage that feeling. I just felt so down and so fed up. I don't think I've ever got that bad in my pregnancies with Frankie, Bobby, Georgie and Poppy. I think I'd, you know, be a bit hormonal, but I don't think I just felt as low as what I felt when I was pregnant back then. But in hindsight, looking back, like I said, it is all because of the hormones. Towards the end of my pregnancy, my symptoms started to come back again. When I say the end of my pregnancy, I had Holly and Emily at 32 weeks. But I can remember from about 4, maybe 5 weeks before actually going into labour, the sickness returned again, and obviously I had the heartburn and indigestion that came with it, and the tiredness came back again. I used to take Gaviscon and drink lots of milk to try and keep it at bay. Milk seemed to do the job for me, as it did in my other pregnancies as well. Probably worked a lot better than Gaviscon did, so I did drink a lot of that. But yeah, it was really hard work, but it was completely worth it. You know, my girls are 14 now, and it seems like a million years ago, but the pregnancy with Holly and Emily was amazing, and despite the sickness and the hormones raging, it was amazing. I'd love to hear about your early pregnancy symptoms, whether that be a single pregnancy or a twin pregnancy. And don't forget to pop on over to www.channelmum.com/pregnancy symptoms, because there are loads of videos over there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.